the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast.
I'm breaking rocks in the Parson. I fought the law and the law won.
Yeah.
The law and the law
Well done, Carl. Well done.
Thank you.
This is Bo Matthews, and awaiting the arrival of Tony Colombo with Carl Middleman, Second Amendment Radio and the Great Outdoors. And it is a big week in Jeff City, and we are going to get right to it because there's a lot to go deep on the SAPA bill, or if you want to pronounce it, the SAPA bill. And this concerns all people that support the Second Amendment and your rights and what our state government will allow and what our federal government may try and do. And that's why I have reconnected. And I don't know, I believe it's divine placement. I was at a meeting, and I actually met the wife of Jim Wendell, and she said, oh, you know, my husband from Easy Rider on Manchester from years ago. I'm like, okay, I know the name.
I know that place.
Yeah, I know the place. and so then I realized, because what it was I was talking about the Big Dogs Poker Bash, and I was like, hey, we've got raffle tickets for ammunition. And she's like, oh, my husband's all about the Second Amendment. And that's where the conversation began. She got him on the phone. That was just last week. Jim Wendell, welcome, and Patrick Holland, welcome, both concerned citizens in regards to the Second Amendment. Welcome to the Second Amendment Radio and the Great Outdoors. This is the place you should be. Say your names individually so we can identify you audibly. Patrick?
Okay, hello. Go ahead, Jimmy.
My name is Jim Wendell, so hopefully you can identify me.
Okay, we got that. Patrick?
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show, Bo. My name is Patrick Holland.
Wonderful. Okay, now we know who you gentlemen are.
And who sounds like who.
Exactly. And I've got to tell you, for the people that have listened to this show, they know we talk about the SAPA bill, as Jim pronounces it, for a long time because we're all concerned. We're all concerned citizens. Members of the Missouri House gave the approval to legislation meant to protect Second Amendment rights to Missourians against an overreaching federal government. And this is a busy week in Jeff City. So let's find out where we're at. By the way, these guys, Patrick has a podcast on YouTube channel, Truth, Money, and Freedom. It's, I guess, technically a podcast. Tell me where we're at, because you guys spent a lot of time. What did I hear? 11 hours yesterday on your channel. Talk to me about what happened yesterday.
Okay. What we did was we did what Jim has coined a Ubitubathon.
Okay.
To promote SAPA. SAPA, by the way, is short for the Second Amendment Preservation Act, because we in Missouri like to shorten things. There's too many syllables in the long one, right?
Right.
So what we're doing is we started a campaign to get people to call their senators, get active, and actually promote this bill as hard as they can in this late hour. Because we're at the, by the way, Bo, Friday is it. I mean, tomorrow is it. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Jeff City turns the lights out as far as legislation's concerned for the rest of the year.
So the airing of this show, will be on the weekend. So the recording of this show, which is Thursday morning, can you tell me where we're at right now, as far as you know?
Yes,
I think you have more up-to-date information. Go ahead.
Yep. Well, basically, as we speak right now, the Senate is assembling, and they're going to hear SAPA on the Senate floor this morning. Now, this comes as a surprise. We expected it Tuesday. It didn't happen. We expected it Wednesday. It didn't happen. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, Bo, because we really worked hard to energize the Second Amendment base in the state of Missouri for people to not only educate themselves to the bill, but also to call in and support their Second Amendment rights. Now, you talk about SAPA on your show, so I'm sure that your listeners understand what this bill is all about. Do they know what it's about?
You know what? Maybe first-time listeners right now, just discovering the show may not. So let's give a quick rundown of what it is, because I know what it is. Repeat listeners of the show understand what it is. But you know what? We're always trying to grow.
Or maybe we don't know.
Maybe we don't know. But go ahead and frame it, if you will.
Absolutely, and I can do this really quickly. Basically, what this bill states is Missouri itself will no longer acknowledge new bills coming from the federal government or new laws that are infringements on the Second Amendment. So it uses something very special called anti-commandeering doctrine, which has been upheld by multiple courts, including the Supreme Court, over literally almost 200 years. And what that is it states, hey, listen, federal government, you can create whatever anti-Second Amendment laws you want, but we in the state of Missouri won't acknowledge it. You can come into the state if you want to enforce your unconstitutional laws, but you can't have access to any of our equipment, our personnel, or our intel to do it. And that actually discourages them from wanting to come in the first place.
Okay. Jim and I had a quick conversation. I appreciate you explaining that, Patrick. But Jim and I had a conversation, and it may have moved the needle because now you have a different update than he and I both had an hour and a half ago when we spoke. But, Jim, talk to the people about the importance of communicating with our elected officials because some people always hear, call your congressmen, call your senators. No, we really need you to make these phone calls. Talk to us, Jim.
Well, and that's exactly correct, Bo. We've discovered through this very long process over the last 2 years that actually calling your representatives and your senators, they do listen. If you make enough phone calls and you make enough noise, they do listen. And that's about all I can say on that. That is the absolute truth. Patrick and I have been fortunate enough to have several things happen because of the phone call and email pressure exerted on some nameless representatives and some nameless senators, okay? So that's just basically how it works. If you get involved and you get your fingernails dirty and you talk to these people, you go up to Jeff City, you visit them in their offices, they will listen. It's not like talking to the federal government, which is beyond my ever hope of seeing it come back again.
Right. Let's talk about your last trip to Jeff City, both of you. Patrick, when was the last time you were there? Just earlier this week, correct?
Yeah, literally just 2 days ago. Jimmy and I were up there along with a contingent from Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast, which is the YouTube channel, and actually went up there to do what we call knock and shock, which is actually go ahead and knock on senators' doors and go in and talk to them about the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Not just about that. They know what it is.
Right.
But we have to tell them why it's important to us, why we want SAPA legislation in the state of Missouri. And by the way, Bo, this is a very popular piece of legislation. It's in 17 states right now, and it's on the docket in 17 states. This is very popular stuff.
Is it exactly the same bill that's been presented in these other states, or are we a little bit different? I mean, I love the state of Missouri. I love the freedoms we have, and we want to hold on to. Other states, I'm guessing Arizona might be one of them, or Texas. Is that right?
That is correct. And actually, that was an astoundingly wonderful question you just asked. There is a guy in the state of Missouri by the name of Ron Calzone who, with his attorney, drew up the original, what we call SAPA legislation. There's been slight modification to it over the years, but the deal is all the other states are borrowing from our language. Our language is that good. And they borrow from it. They make minor tweaks for their state, to acknowledge their statutes, their existing statutes. But we have the original bill, and we have the strongest bill. We have the bill with the most teeth in it. And what I mean by the most teeth is there are ramifications to people in the state of Missouri if they actually break this, if it becomes law. There's ramifications.
I believe that the show Second Amendment Radio and the Great Outdoors, the platform is here to discuss these things because it's important. The gun laws that we're hearing about at the federal level and hopefully not on the state level, but it really isn't going to move the needle for the bad guys that are not going to buy their weapons legally. They're not going to buy their ammo legally. They're going to steal it or whatever. So this is really just going to be a money grab, in my opinion, and not your bill, but I mean, it seems like a money grab when they talk about, raising taxes on and registering your mags and your, firearms and things like that. It seems silly because, when you're dealing with firearms, it is such a serious thing. They are not toys. They are a great sport. They're used for a great sport.
They're
hunting.
Tools.
They are tools. That's a great way to put it, Carl. But these laws that seem to be just burying us are not going to affect the crime in any city in America. Would you agree?
I would certainly agree with that, Bo. I mean, that is the way it's always been. and you say that this sounds like a money grab. To me, if you ask my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, this is about control of the people. Never mind the money. They've already got their fingers in every other avenue of money. I think this is about control. Very, very quick story. You know, that small country called Myanmar, right next to Taiwan. They had just had a coup, and the military there apparently is actually shooting people to the tune of like 600 or 800. Now, I'm sure if you asked the people of Myanmar if they had a Second Amendment, you'd get a big thumbs up on that one.
Right.
And that's precisely why our founding fathers put it in our Constitution. This is not to be diminished, nor is it to be ignored. These were wise men who wrote these words.
And godly men as well.
Yes.
Hey, guys, let's talk about your visit. You said what you went down to try and do in Jeff City a couple of days ago. What was the response? Did you get in some doors? Were you able to talk to anybody? Did you bend any ears? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, we did. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was going to say, go ahead.
Yeah, we did bend some ears. Unfortunately, Senate went in session about 10:30 in the morning. So we got about 2.5 hours in of actually talking to senators, and after that, it was all LAs or office assistants. But it was basically, it was overwhelming. We want it from the senators that we had talked to.
Yeah.
So I don't see an issue with this. This is a leadership problem, why this hasn't been on the floor. This isn't because people aren't calling and visiting and sending emails. In fact, the grassroots movement on this is nothing less than astounding. Let me tell you one more thing, Bo, that you may not know. The House version of this bill, which is actually going to be heard on the floor of the Senate this morning, has over 90 co-sponsors.
Wow.
This is a very popular bill. No bill gets 90 co-sponsors.
Yeah, no kidding.
So people love their Second Amendment rights, and they're willing to fight for them. That's the message that was sent. And everything else that happened in Jeff City was wonderful. However, once the Senate went in session, there was no way to talk to senators anymore. So we left it around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm impressed with your passion for it. We appreciate it. But of course, we're always looking for fellow supporters of what you guys are doing, other people to go to Jeff City. And I know they're going to be done. And at the time of the airing of this show this Saturday and Sunday on the radio, the decision will have already been made. So if you could talk, Patrick, real quick on where people can go to get the latest information, maybe they missed the headline or whatever, where can people go this weekend to find out the results of your efforts with your group of people?
You bet. And there's several groups of people. We're just one of them. We're grassroots folks. There are people working on the inside, too. And for people who want to actually see on a website what's going on with this, go to mofirst.org. That's Ron Calzone's website.
Gotcha.
And he covers SAPA legislation and everything that's happening blow by blow.
Well, it sounds like he may be the lead guy. How did you ever connect with that with him?
That's a good question. The answer is actually when we found out about this legislation, Jimmy and I, we started scheduling meetings with our senators and our representatives, and that ended up with a trip up to Jefferson City. And while we were there, Ron Calzone was there stumping for SAPA, and that was early last January.
Man.
So January of 2020.
Well, again, thank you for your input on this. Alex Salzman has been on our program for the Missouri Gun Coalition. Are you friends with her? Do you know her?
Missouri Guns Coalition. I'm not familiar with her. I know Aaron Dorr with the Missouri Firearms Coalition.
You need to hook up.
We've got to connect you. Because she has the same passion, and she has a great group of people. Again, it's called the Missouri Gun Coalition. Alex Salzman, and again, she's been on Second Amendment Radio on the Great Outdoors for a long time. And I suspect that this is not your only time that you'll be joining us on this program, because as we move forward through this Biden administration, and we went through all of his proposals prior to him being inaugurated, we'll say. What? No, I mean, Carl.
Taking office. How's that?
Okay,
yeah, taking office.
Carl, I'm laughing.
I'm not. I'm crying over here, man.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean.
We would love to have you guys back on the show. Thank you for the efforts you've done this week. And again, people can go to the website for the latest information on what happened in Jeff City for the citizens of the state of Missouri. Again, Patrick, that website, please.
It's MO, or MO, short for Missouri, MO First, FIRST.org. That's Ron Calzone's site. And I try to cover it on the video side through YouTube, and that's the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast on YouTube. We're also on BitChute and Odyssey.
And how often are you dropping a podcast? Once a week?
Holy mackerel. Several times a day lately.
I know you had the YouTube Aboobathon yesterday, but
how do you do an 11-hour
something like that? I think I like the words and all of that, whatever that says. What did you talk about for 11 hours? You guys were stumping, baby. You were doing it.
Filibuster.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Now, a large part of that time was actually listening to the Missouri Senate live, hoping SAPA legislation would come up, because we had inside information it could come up at any time. It was on the informal calendar anyway. It did not come up.
Jeez.
So basically, we'd break and we'd talk for a little while, talk with all the people that were chatting with us in the YouTube channel. But it's actually incited a lot of interest.
Yeah.
People are like, hey, what's going on? What's this all about? And in fact, yesterday, I was very fortunate that, oh gosh darn it, what's his name again? Michael from the 10th Amendment Center was actually promoting our video.
Oh, wow.
And on Twitter. And he was talking about this legislation's going through right now in Missouri, gang. Pay attention, pay attention. It's not in other states yet. You know, they're not in this quick process yet in these other states, but Missouri is. So all eyes are on us right now to show the United States how to protect your Second Amendments within a state, use anti-commandeering doctrine, and get it done the right way the first time.
And this is the essence of Grassroots. People that are hearing you for the first time, hopefully will go find you at Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast. A big thank you to Jim Wendell, and actually Jim Wendell's wife, for connecting me back with Jim, and Patrick Holland. Thank you, gentlemen, for being concerned citizens for the state of Missouri, and thanks for joining us on the Second Amendment and the great outdoors. We will talk again soon.
And then after we had the show, we got this voicemail.
Hello, Bob. Sorry to be calling so late. This is Jim Wendell. I thought you would like to know that SAPA has passed the Senate. It needs to take a short little trip back down to the House of Representatives, where I'm sure it will blow right through again, which will mean that it's going to be sitting on our desk. Can you believe this stuff? Yeah, man.
And after everything went down, we got this voicemail.
You would like to be kept apprised of the situation. SAPA, of course, last night at the Senate. It went to the House. It has passed the House. It is a bill on the governor's desk awaiting signature to become law as I am speaking to you now. All righty, sir. There you go. Please, if you would, mention that we need telephone calls to the governor's office to make sure that this gets signed into law. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. Have a good day.
Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Saturday, May 15th, 2021. Hey, gang, thanks for listening to that. That was an interview that Jim Wendell and I had done on the Bo Matthews show, and that is airing live as I'm actually doing this recorded video. However, I'm not in the St. Louis market, so I'm not sure how to listen to it live, but I did get a copy of the recording before it went live. So at any rate, I wanted to talk to you about the call to action now, and I'll make this quick, gang. I want to thank all of you for spending as much time as we have, delving into the Second Amendment Preservation Act, garnering support for it, and getting people active and supporting their Second Amendment rights. And thank all of you for participating in this. But there's one final step I need to ask for. First off, I'm going to start with the 10th Amendment Center. A tip of my hat once again to Michael Bolden and those at the 10th Amendment Center. They did put out an article about the Second Amendment Preservation Act actually passing the House and going to the governor's desk. I'm going to link it down below. I'm not going to read it, but it's another really good article talking a little bit about the history of this bill and what Ron Calzone and others have gone through in the last 8 years. My participation in it really started 2 years ago, so I don't have that history. I've heard a little bit about it from Ron, but I didn't get active in this until December of 2019 is when I first started getting active in it. So you guys, it'll be linked right down below. But the call to action, it's the governor, gang. It's Governor Mike Parsons, and we need to let him know that we do want SAPA signed by him. So basically, you just scroll down to the bottom of the page that is linked right down below, just like the 10th Amendment Center, and you've got a phone number to go ahead and give them a call. You could also click on the email us link right there, and you'll see you can fill out a form here, reason for contact. I highly recommend both, a phone call and an email from each person who wants to support the Second Amendment Preservation Act here in the state of Missouri. Please do both. And actually, I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do both of them, but I'm going to do the phone call probably once a week until we get a signature from the governor. And Ron Calzone put out a message last night to let people know that because of the emergency clause in this, the governor can actually ignore this and not sign it, and it still becomes law anyway. So with that in mind, I mean, we certainly don't want to veto. Jay Nixon did veto this back in 2013 or 2014. I can't remember the year. We're thinking Mike Parsons won't because he supported this bill and he voted for it when he was a senator. So that's all I have for you guys. Oh, one more thing. Reza Nunn had brought up the fact that there's nothing about this in the media. KY3 had a little snippet that my wife had caught, but I have not seen it. But it wasn't pro-SAPA. Of course, it was anti-SAPA. That's what we can expect from the mainstream media about SAPA, gang. And this goes to anyone in any state. You won't get positive news on this. KY3, which is the local NBC affiliate for Springfield, Missouri, every bit that they carried about SAPA legislation during this really harsh legislative season that we've had to deal with as Second Amendment supporters was completely negative. They covered Arnott, who didn't like it. They covered, by the way, Sheriff of Greene County, Sheriff Arnott. They covered Sheriff Cole in my county, Christian County, who didn't want it. But they didn't cover the people who did want it. So just so you know, you got to hear the side of the point of view of law enforcement, but you didn't get to hear the point of view of the citizen or someone who understands the Constitution, someone who knows what the Second Amendment's all about, or the fact that that shall not be infringed. You didn't get that point of view from the sheriffs. And we'll be dealing with that soon enough, gang, and also a few politicians that we need to talk about a little bit more. We'll deal with that when the time comes. Right now, our energy should be focused on contacting the governor of Missouri and letting him know that we want SAPA and why we want it, and please do sign this bill. So that's it for now, gang. Thank you again for everyone's assistance, help, phone calls, emails, visits, handwritten letters. You guys did it. You guys actually did it. And it doesn't matter if you found out from Truth, Money, and Freedom or from Aaron Dorr in the Missouri Firearms Coalition, which I am a member, by the way, or from Ron Calzone's organization directly. I kind of consider myself an extension of Ron Calzone. Or from just because you were following what your senators and your representatives were working on. You guys, the grassroots effort, it was more important than I think I can even stress in this video. You guys did it. We got it done because of the activities of the grassroots. Yes, there was all kinds of stuff that happened on the inside to make it happen, but their effectiveness was enhanced exponentially by the grassroots efforts. I can't say that enough. So thank you to all of you. But let's get it done. Let's go ahead and let the governor know we want this bill and why we want it. Okay, gang, that's all I have for you for now. You guys all have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. May God bless each and every one of you. Take care, gang.